direct conversation, some deep reactions, please. All this comics narration ain't elating me. A little more talk, a lot less read. A little fight, baby, is what I need. Close the trade, open up your brains. Explain it to me. Explain it to me, baby. Explain it to me.
The second arc starts with a young man named David Elaine. David Elaine is a young, good-looking black man who is working at some kind of office job, it seems. And the phone starts ringing, so he answers the phone, and it turns out that he's a tech support guy. So he's technical support, what's your problem? What kind of a bomb? What kind of extraterrestrial? Okay, so he starts telling them how to deal with some kind of extraterrestrial
scroll bomb.
And like you quickly realize he's not your normal tech support guy. The second call he takes, somebody is having difficulties with Elektra, and he advises them to run.
Elektra.
She's still around. She's apparently still around, and tech support is getting calls about her.
Okay.
And so it turns out that the person that's fighting Elektra is some kind of ninja, and they have a choice between following the ancient code of ninjutsu and being a dead ninja and going in with the wrong weapons. They hang up on him.
Oh, that poor baby. Like, he knows the answers, but no one wants to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And he does know the answers because this is Prodigy. Josh, would you like to give a brief note, because we have not encountered Prodigy prior to this in this series. Would you like to give you're the X-Men guy, so would you like to give a brief note about who Prodigy is?
Prodigy's one of the newer mutants. He's he took Cyclops' side in the whole mutant schism thing, but left pretty quickly and was like, no. His mutant powers, he's a fucking genius. Like, he can understand and retain things at a superhuman level. So, like, he's basically who most corporate trainings are made for. Like, they assume that you can read something once and then be perfect at it. He's the only person in any universe ever that actually works.
Yeah. Like, all he has to do is kind of spend time with somebody, and he doesn't, unlike Rogue, like where Rogue can touch somebody and get like their power, right? Like, he doesn't really even need to do that. He doesn't really get their power, but he gets their knowledge, if that makes sense.
Right.
So, like, instead of knowing how to fly, for example, he doesn't, like, he knows how the flight works. He can't himself fly.
Right. But if he spends 5 minutes around a pilot, he can fly a plane.
Right.
It seems like a much more useful ability to be incognito.
Yeah. So he is working tech support at some company. It's not clear. And he encounters his boss. Then he gets off the phone. His boss is giving him shit for being under quota of his calls, and he encounters Tommy, who is Billy's twin, otherwise known as Speed. And Speed's like, hey man, what's going on? Like, you look like you're about my age. You want to go get some food? You want to get some lunch and hang out? And David's like, yeah, all right, dude. Like, I've never seen you before. And Tommy's like, all right, give me 5 minutes. I need to work. So David's like, oh, well, what kind of work do you do here? And Tommy's like, well, I assemble these tech gizmos. I've got like some kind of contract to assemble this stuff. Here, hold my coffee, and gets to work. And David's like, well, that seems like a pretty sweet job. You work 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes at night, like, and you get paid to do this? That's pretty sick. And Tommy quickly puts him in his place. Is like, absolutely not. No. This is hell. This is absolute hell. From my perspective, it's been a week, and then disappears again, and is like, that was another week. It's hell, but it's hell that pays. And there's a bunch of panels that show, that he's basically assembling technology devices at high speed. And so he's like, I do a few weeks of this. I, save up some cash, go travel, do a little superheroing, and then I gotta come back here and make more money. And he's just like, what the fuck, man? This is nuts. And Tommy has like no filter. Like Tommy just takes this complete stranger out to lunch, sitting there shoving noodles into his mouth, and is like, man, I used to be on this team. But everybody was just such a piece of shit, and Billy is kind of a drag, and Patriot was kind of a stuck-up guy. But I gotta keep moving, I gotta keep going. And so David's like, well, I don't have powers. And Tommy's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, my X gene got fried, but I retained all my knowledge, so I'm technically not a mutant anymore, but I still know everything that I knew before. I didn't lose any of it. This is really cool, but also sad, but cool.
Right.
And Tommy's like, oh man, that sucks. I gotta go. Let's go to the clubs.
Thanks, Tommy, for Wow, just like your brother, not a shred of decency for another human being.
Right. I think, I like to think that in this particular story that it's not that he doesn't care, it's that he's way ahead. He's already past he's already past the part where we've had like the moment of human emotion, and he's like 5 minutes ahead of that. He's like, yeah, okay, that sucks, man, but let's go to the clubs.
Tommy is a fantastic example of a speedster, like in the way that comics don't normally show them, because you got to think about it. It would be hell. You are perceiving the world at like 1/100th of what you're capable of,
Yeah, no, totally. And I like how he's portrayed here, because he does kind of come off as callous, but you're absolutely right. Like,
it's impatience.
Yeah, he's just impatient. And he's just like, okay, we already did this. Come on, let's go.
It's like talking to Treebeard for your entire life.
Oh God, no. Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
So later on, they go out to coffee, and and Tommy's like, dude, I just I thought about it, and I was like, hey, you're an incredible genius. Why are you working this piece of shit job? What's the deal with that? And David's like, well, I was kind of part of a separatist mutant who was described as a terrorist, so that does make my resume kind of unappealing to a lot of people. And David's pissed because he's like, they used us, the X-Men used us. It wasn't about us at all. It was about what they wanted us to be. I'm just trying to keep my head down, work this job, make enough money to retire as soon as I can, and then stop doing it because I don't want to be anybody's pawn. Tommy finds this kind of hilarious and is like, dude, you're so serious, lighten up. And so when they get done with their coffee, they go back to the office, and they find out that there was a break-in at the facility the night before, and a lot of components were stolen. All their components were stolen. And so they're reviewing security footage, and there's a guy on the footage. The guy on the footage is wearing and appears to be Patriot. He's wearing the Patriot uniform and appears to be Patriot. And Tommy's like, I gotta make a call. I gotta go. I know that guy. So he steps out, makes a call, and calls Patriot's family, and is like, gets the information that it's not him, unless he brainwashed his family, because he's been in bed for the last 2 weeks. And he has a brief rant about how stupid legacy characters are, which is kind of skewering.
Oh my God, it's awesome.
This entire comic is just like, it doesn't matter what you wear, what you call yourself, find your own style, don't bite anybody else's. The people I used to run with, which was the Young Avengers, used to do that all the time. Wiccan once tried to get me to call myself Quicksilver. It was so lame. But then he offers, he goes up to the boss and offers, like, hey, me and this guy will stake out the place. And David is like, and Tommy's like, sure, yeah, we're friends. And David points out, we've had noodles once and coffee once, like, and he's like, yeah, all right, well, we're friends, let's go. Stop being such a drag, you're reminding me of Wicked.
Oh.
So they stake out the place. It's nighttime, and sure enough, they see Patriot walking through this facility. And it's hard to capture in in the art, but the way that I have it in my head is that he is not walking normally. He is kind of walking more like Samara from The Ring, like
Yeah.
very disjointed. Something is wrong.
Zombie-like.
Yeah, kind of zombie-like or Japanese ghost girl-like. Definitely not a normal walking style, or not a normal movement. So Speed comes out and he's like, "Hey, that's my friend's outfit you're wearing. I want you naked now, but not in a sexy way." And this thing, this Patriot thing, just kind of looks at him, and you see the panel itself is starting to crack.
Oh no.
And that's very bad. And he falls to his knees. Tommy falls to his knees.
And his lenses shatter.
Yes. His lenses shatter. He now is turning to run from this shambling thing, but isn't fast enough. And
No.
reaches out. The Patriot thing reaches out and just kind of touches him on the shoulder, and Tommy disappears. He's gone. And David is the only one left. And David is like, "Who the hell are you?" And this thing is like, "I'm what you can't outrun. You'll never know what I did to him. Do you want him back?" And David is like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Patriot takes off one of his gloves, and there's no hand. There's nothing there. And he takes the glove and tries to hand it to David and says, "Accept." And David's like, "Absolutely the fuck not. This is nuts." So he puts the glove back on, and then there's magically a hand there. Very weird. And Patriot looks at him and says, "Denial," and then disappears. And David is like, "I don't know what the fuck is going on." And that's how that issue ends. So there's some bad times afoot in the Circle K.
Yeah. So so Tommy disappeared. How much does Tommy like David?
Unclear.
Unclear.
Okay.
He seems to be more into David than David is into him. But Tommy's also moving 5 times faster than everybody else, so he's probably already at the point where they're good friends.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't see it in a romantic way at all. I just see it in a everybody here is old. You are not old. I would like to hang out with you kind of way.
Okay.
It's like you're the one coworker that's kind of near your age at the data entry center, like
The one cool one.
right,
Hang out with the cool
exactly. You're
person.
like, all right, I guess we're gonna hang out because everybody else here is 70,
Right.
So we start the next issue with some Skrulls who are real jazzed about this beautiful new car or spaceship, space
Cadillac.
Space Cadillac.
Literally Cadillac 4200 Xeno Crusher.
And they were, he's talking about how beautiful and precious and glorious this car is, and then the Young Avengers attacked. So the Young Avengers go after them. Loki, of course, is like, "Trust me, this is a good idea," and essentially takes a hoverboard thing and then a tow line, throws Kate shoots a arrow with a tow line in it. And when the Skrulls take off, of course, in this Cadillac to run away, they are tethered essentially to this Cadillac. And there's a battle. There's some fighting, and the Skrulls are trying to fly away. They're attached to the back, and Loki's like, we need to make sure we don't explosively decompress. Billy, you better get us out of here. And so Billy sends them back to where they came and goes inside, and they take out inside of the ship, and they take out the Skrulls. But they're not actually Skrulls. They're called Skiffle Puffles, who are also shapeshifters. And they explain that they didn't want to be so everybody from their home planet, Skiffle Puffula, they're all shape changers, but I guess everybody on that planet, according to them, just grows up to be actors because they can look like whatever they want. But they didn't want to do that. They wanted to be hardcore. And so they decided to shape change themselves into Skrulls because they're so badass and they have cool heads and their empire was so great and so on and so forth. And the Young Avengers are like, "You've got to be kidding. You've got to be fucking kidding us." we're gonna call your parents. And so they do, and that's that on that. And they go out to breakfast. There's also a series of panels on the following page, which are really fun. Again, they do a lot of creative things with the art here, and basically there is a 9-panel set that is made to look like essentially Instagram posts, and it's of the team fighting various things and going on various adventures. At one point they're fighting a giant bear. At one point, they're celebrating Teddy's birthday. Kate's, shooting some arrows. They're kissing on the moon, so on and so forth. And it's kind of demonstrating that they're all commenting on the pictures and things like that, and it just kind of demonstrates that they're all getting along as a team and enjoying the time that they've spent together, which, as we find out, has been 3 months. So it's been 3 months that they've been working together. And Loki brings up, hey, look, really need to get back to work and get rid of these weird parasite things. And Miss America's was like, yeah, we really do need to get that together. And Teddy and Nova are kind of chatting privately with one another, talking about, Teddy's still concerned that Billy has reality warper powers to influence his and Novar is like, look, I have mind control saliva, but I don't use it because that would be wrong.
Oh, I mean, now, has Teddy said anything to Billy about this? Like,
oh, come on, of course not.
Teenagers!
I know. So
you are actually completely and utterly incapable of asking those sorts of questions to a significant other until at least the age of 30. Do you not remember this?
Okay. For fairness sake, I was someone gave me the ethical slut when I was like 21. And so I read that and I got really healthy perceptions on like what I want out of relationships. So I was very good at being like, hey, I'm not monogamous and it's cool if you date other people, I'm going to date other people, you're my primary. So it was I was very good at communicating my needs early on.
Well, not all of us got the cheat code book, Joe.
Sometimes this is why queer intergenerational relationships are so important and why HIV/AIDS was so terrible for gay dudes, because we lost a generation of elders to teach us these kinds of things.
Right.
Oh,
yeah,
oh God, super tangent.
No,
it's kind of what we do on this show.
That is 100% what we do on this show.
Totally got lucky and had a wise gay elder be like, hey, you should read this. You don't own people you're in relationships with.
Right. No, but that's awesome though. Like not all of us got that for sure, and that's exactly why.
That's actually going back to the just talk to each other. It's the trope that Jen, my wife, fucking hates, is how you can build an entire season arc just because somebody decided not to have a conversation like an adult.
Yeah. And like it's frustrating, right? Because as adults we read this and we're like, just fucking talk to them. But we got to remember these are teens. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They've never had this to happen before, and they don't know what's going on. So of course they're not going to talk to each other, because who does that?
I'm sorry. Does any of these people have telepathic powers or the ability to
You'd think.
Hey, I sense emotions. You're not quite right. What's going on?
Although we do turn around almost right away, because there is one relationship, as weird as it is, on this ship that is a healthy, odd relationship, and that is Kate and Novar.
Yeah. It's healthy and weird. That's for sure.
Because Novar at this point is like, oh yeah, Kate, have I mentioned that I have mind control saliva? And she goes, it's okay. Many parts of my body are mind control.
It's great. So they are now back in, of course, the aforementioned diner. This is going to show up a lot. And just as they sit down, they're still looking at the menu, and the waiter comes over and is like, "Here you go." And Kate's like, "What? We didn't order anything yet." And David, who's been sitting at a nearby table, turns to them and is like, "Well, it was me. I ordered for you." And America immediately is like, "Who the hell are you?" And Teddy and Billy kind of fill her in and is like, "Hey, look, he was one of the young X-Men. He sided with the Utopian mutants after the schism and was head of their youth division." And
I don't know. I'm just imagining him as the cool youth pastor.
kind of.
Hey guys,
He
let's have
does
a
dress
rap-
like one.
Let's have a rap about this real cool guy, Charles Xavier.
Actually, it wasn't. No, he would have. In his position, it would have been. Let's have a rap about this really cool guy, Scott Summers.
I mean,
Yeah.
Magneto was right.
It's true. He was never wrong.
I mean, there was that time he flooded New York.
Overrated.
So Kate's like, "Well, how did you find us?" And he's like, "Well, I've been, looking for you guys for a while. And I finally was able to get it, but I saw what happened with your parents, and I understand why you guys are trying to avoid them. So I decided to use some basic geometry and calculate your trajectories and then triangulate your location, etc. and so forth. And it always kept coming back here. So I figured if I came to this diner enough, I'd find you." And Loki, being the perennial smartass that he is like, "Oh, I don't know. Why do they call you Prodigy?"
Bless him.
And Prodigy puts him promptly back into his place and is like, "You're guilty about something, aren't you?" And
Oh
Loki
God!
goes,
Someone asks the right question at the right time. What is this?
Yep.
They then ignore it.
Yep. And they don't. They just kind of give each other a knowing look and move right on.
Fair.
David goes on to explain that he was working with Tommy, and that he has some really bad news. And so he takes them to the warehouse or building or whatever where Tommy had disappeared. And Loki starts basically doing a magic spell to kind of find the trail to find Tommy. And
they all talk about how they love Nina Simone.
Yes, they do.
Honestly, that was around the age I got introduced to Nina Simone, so fair and right.
Well, it's because Kid Loki calls Prodigy young, gifted, and black. And and Prodigy goes, "Wait, you're a Norse god who knows about Nina Simone?" And Novar, out of nowhere, it's like, "I'm an alien who loves Nina Simone."
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, it is excellent. So Loki finds that there's a trail, and Billy's like, "Well, can we follow it?" And so Loki basically is like, "Well, it's leading to another dimension. So I don't know how in the world could we possibly get to another dimension unless," and of course America Chavez is like, "Get out of the fucking way. Let me do it." And punches or kicks really a hole through the universe and is like, "All right, let's go."
As she does.
And Kate, who has not yet seen this particular power of America's, is like, "Who are you?" To which America replies, very chill, very cool as always, "Your ticket to the multiverse, princess." I love her so much. I can't.
I'm really excited to see her.
I know.
Excited.
I know. I've been jazzed since I learned about it, and the trailer for Doctor Strange looks just absolutely lit. I'm jazzed. I'm so jazzed. So they jump into this other dimension, which is real weird. And in this real weird dimension, there's Patriot, and he looks at them and kind of gives them the come hither gesture and is like, "Tick tock, tick tock." And behind his eyes, you can see that Tommy is like screaming, like behind his mask. And so David points out, like, "Hey, look, just for the record, this is exactly what I was trying to avoid." And that's how that issue ends. So we leave it there. Issue 8 begins with Kate Bishop's Interdimensional Journal, week 5. And so it turns out that they have been just jumping dimensions for weeks. What she calls mayfly dimensions, which are full of horrors craving to be more than a tiny fragment of time. And there's the art here is just real out there. In some of these universes, they all have wings, like eagle wings. One of them has a giant, what looks like a head crossed with a spider robot thing. One of them has a bunch of dead Asgardians, including dead Loki, dead Thor. Some of them are just full of like dirt and dust, like dust storms and all kinds of other terrible things. So they've been doing this for another 5 weeks. But she does note in her journal that it's not all bad, and sometimes they do have good days. For example, Earth 212, and they're back at the Korean barbecue joint that started us all off in the first place. Sharing a meal, chit-chatting, having a good time. And it's also shown that Novar in this time has grown a beard. And because he has discovered the joy of country, and Graham Parsons is his hero now.
Oh.
And he hopes, his only hope for the mission is that they come to a dimension where he is still alive so he can meet him. And
also Johnny Cash.
And Billy's like, and also that we catch up with this evil patriot and rescue my brother Tommy, right? And he's like, oh yeah, that too. That's fine. So as they're eating, America Chavez walks in, immediately gets yelled at by the waitstaff because she destroyed the place last time she was in. And she's like, hey, look, the wall looks great. Anyways, I'm sorry. I got to get these guys out of here. We got to go. And she lets them know that she's found the Patriots trail. So they take off, and so they go to another dimension entirely. It's another like apocalypse type world. It's like half the buildings are in ruins and whatnot. It's noted that the architecture there is Kree derived, which means that so apparently there's like a disproportionate number of universes where the Kree have taken over and made Earth like the capital of the Kree Empire, and then it's gotten destroyed. So they're looking for Patriot. They're following Loki's magical trail, and he's like, let's get out of here before something inevitably horrible turns up. And then just as he says that, like behind him, you can see a bunch of like evil looking, the only way I can describe these things is like neon dominatrices.
Yep. Full gimp mask and all.
Yeah, full gimp mask and all. Like like leather teddies and thigh-high boots and whatnot, except they're all strapped. So they've got, guns, knives, weapons, whatever. And Loki turns around and immediately is like, I hate you, inevitable, horrible. And that kind of stops them, gives them pause, and they're like, well, you said we're not horrible. You said that we were pretty. Welcome to the new Kree capital, or the new capital of the Kree Empire, Novar. And so who this is or what this is appears to be duplicates of Novar's ex named Oubliette. And yeah.
Oh no.
And they're chasing after them now, like, you said we were beautiful, aren't we beautiful? And he's like, you've changed.
See the original Sin episode for more on Oubliette. What was her name? Dominatrix?
The Exterminatrix.
The Exterminatrix.
Yeah.
Oh my god, wait, what clan did she play in Vampire?
Right?
I'm a Sombra.
Yeah, probably.
Bruja. They're always Bruja.
They're always Bruja.
They're always goddamn Bruja.
Listen up, both of you.
They hang out with Ice Dragon.
and every single character that was ever named after a pro wrestler.
Why did we do that for so long?
I don't know. We have a disease.
Hi, my name's Joe, and I survived OWBN.
We all did, Joe. We all did.
I'm now Oubliette.
Do not stare too long into the LARP, for the LARP will stare back.
But I do want some riot juice.
I mean, it's pretty much just Tucker Tucker Max's death punch.
Yeah. Ugh.
So, anyway, back to these
Anyhow.
dominatrixes.
So the dominatrixes
They
are coming
have
after them.
they have black holes for heads.
Yes.
This is also kind of important.
Yes, it now turns, because after this confrontation, their heads, which previous, were wearing the gimp masks and whatnot, have now turned into black holes. And so America Chavez goes to punch one of them, and David is like, "Don't cross their event horizons, don't." And she actually does manage to do it, and punches this thing right in its black hole. And
And it has my favorite panel.
Favorite panel ever. The laws of physics can kiss my ass. And she then kicks another hole through the universes and is like, "All right, hurry, let's go," and manages to get everybody out safely. And Kate asks Novar, like, who the hell was that? And he's like, "Oh, they looked like be at the exterminatrix, trained to hunt and kill aliens from birth. But she was also the first reason I loved Earth." And Kate goes to follow up on this question, and then notices that something in the undergrowth of this planet that they're on is moving. And it turns out to be a bunch of little green, really adorable, chubby, I don't know how to describe these things. They look kind of like a cross between like a Beanie Baby and a bat, but they don't have wings.
Yeah.
Like they've got like the bat ears. And
4 of them.
What's that?
4 of them. They have four bat ears. 2 on the top and 2 on the sides, like Baby Yoda.
Oh.
Yeah, they're really, really adorable. And they are all saying, "Demiurge, Demiurge, Demiurge." And everybody's like, "Oh, this is cute. We like this." And so they're trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And Loki looks up and then looks at America Chavez and then looks back at everybody. He's like, "Hey guys, let's go. Time to go. Don't look up. Don't look at anything. Just let's go. We're going. It's time to go." And everybody's like, "What are you talking about?" And just before America gets them through the star-shaped dimension panel, Billy looks up, and it's his profile, basically, like the shoulders up of him in the sky, like as a sort of really beautiful constellation or galaxy.
Made of stars.
And one of the little green dudes is like, "Demiurge!" And Loki's like, "Oh, you probably shouldn't have seen that. We gotta go." And so they end up now in a completely white room, but it's not really a room. It's more panels. They are back in this weird fourth dimension breaking or fourth wall breaking area. And Patriot's there, and so is the mother parasite. And she's like, "Oh, this lovely boy said you'd be popping by, come on in. Where were we?" And it kind of pulls out a little bit, and you see that there are all of these empty panels just sort of hanging everywhere. And in one of them, there's a partially drawn Teddy, and like in other ones, there are like the beginning stages of what look to be like sketches or models of him, and then some are just completely blank. Loki realizes that's Mother's home dimension, and they got to get the fuck out of there. America goes to stomp a hole through it, and parts of the panel are actually turning into tentacles and coming at them.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's real bad. Billy and Tommy get separated, and Billy is actually pulled in by the tentacles as Tommy is pulled through the to the other dimension with America and the rest of the team. America's pissed. She's like, "I'm gonna kill that Patriot dude," and Billy's like, we have to go back and save Teddy. We have to do it. And they don't even know where they're at. They're just in another dimension, and from behind them they hear hello, and there's a young girl there who's got long dark hair and in a green dress, and she has weird little, like almost like Shrek like horns coming out of her head, like if you can kind of picture what Shrek like horns look like.
Yeah.
And Loki recognizes this person immediately, and her name is Leia.
When
I
did you
didn't
get a comic book?
Right? I was very thrilled to see somebody with my same name there. And so Loki immediately was like, "Oh no. and Leia informs them that being a friend of Loki doesn't work out well for anybody. We cut back to the weird mother dimension where Teddy is being attacked by these weird panel tentacle things, and David actually is still with them. Prodigy is still with him, and he's like, "Ah, shit." And he says something in another mysterious language and throws up some hand symbols, which scares the mother parasite. And he's like, "We got to go before she realizes." And Tommy's like, "Well, you can do magic?" And or Teddy's like, "You can do magic?" And he's like, "Well, I was once in a room with Doctor Strange. I can't actually do magic, but I do know magic words. And sometimes when extra dimensional beings hear these magic words, they get scared, even if it's not said by a magic user." And so they're running for their lives through this weird white panel universe. And he's like, "Okay, we gotta run and hide." This is in Prodigy's even like, "This is kind of outside of my zone of expertise, and I don't, there's not a lot that's out of my zone of expertise, but I kind of don't know what to do. We just need to stay alive until somebody can come and help us." And so, he's like, "Okay, well, what happens if worse comes to worse?" And Teddy's like, we just got to keep trying." And David's like, "No regrets." And Teddy says, "No regrets." And David's like, "Well, I wish I could say the same." And then turns and out of absolutely fucking nowhere kisses him.
Oh my.
Yeah. And so so Teddy is absolutely floored. He's like, "What's going on?" And David's like, "Oh, we should get moving again before I die of embarrassment," and just runs. And and Teddy's like, David, and and he's just hoofing it.
So too busy running, not gonna talk about what just happened. Bye.
Yeah, I gotta go. So
I mean, we've all been there.
right. How many times?
Oh God.
So we cut back over to the other half of the team who are in this new dimension with Leia. And America's like, "Well, who are you and why is Loki crapping himself?" And so this is, again, another character kind of from the Journey into Mystery run. She explains that she was basically left there. This is the beginning of time, essentially. And she was betrayed and abandoned by Loki, and was put there. And the Young Avengers don't quite know what to do about this. And they're like, "Well, we could save you, right?" And she's like, "Nope, you can't. Just leave me here with the rest of eternity. It's fine."
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you sure? We know this.
And
We can't get you a bagel or anything.
Like, we know this diner.
yeah. So Loki explains to the rest of the team, because they're like, "All right, who the hell is that?" And he explains, basically, I arranged for her to be sent here to keep her safe from myself, because I would have been very terribly bad for her. And this is a partial truth. It doesn't really get addressed in this novel. This actually, I believe, Josh, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe this gets explained in Agent of Asgard.
I believe so, yes.
Okay. So we won't get into it here, but there's more of this particular plot line in a different book. So Loki's like, "Okay, well, that was great. We got to go. Let's go." And encourages everybody to keep moving. Meanwhile, in the weird dimension, David and Teddy are trying to have a conversation while also being, hiding from this mother parasite. And David explains that, he's very sorry, but if they were going to die, he wanted to know what it was like to kiss Teddy. And Teddy's like, "Well, I'm flattered and all, but like, I'm taken." And he's like, "Yeah, well, I kind of hope we do die now." I am so embarrassed. And Teddy's like, "Since when are you gay?" And David's like, I'm bi. And I've never told anybody that out loud. I've never said it out loud. And I just wanted to basically to check before I die, just to see if I could, if that was right. When his mutation happened and absorbed all this knowledge, he got everything from everybody. But also this caused him to realize that he was bisexual. He describes it as all the doors in his head, all the rooms, all the doors were open. And he was actually a little jealous because, Teddy is so good with Billy. And they have such a seemingly perfect relationship where they really care about each other that, who wouldn't want a piece of that? And he kind of reveals in a very roundabout way that he does have or has had a crush on Teddy for a while. And that he kind of put that relationship on a pedestal, and Teddy's like, look, it's not perfect. We're happy with each other, but it's not the perfect relationship. He has problems, I have problems. He's a reality warper, I am a Krell-Skree hybrid. It is not as perfect as it seems on the surface.
You may
and
have
also
mind controlled me. I don't
right
know.
And he does say,
He actually
like,
says that.
Yeah, he said I suspect he could be making me love him, not even deliberately, but he could be doing it.
Oh.
And David's like, if I were you and we got out of here okay, I would get some space from him to kind of clear my head and see if I still had the same feelings. That's what I would do if I were you. And so we cut back to the other half of the team now, and they finally jumped away. And so Loki's like, follow me. I know where to go. Let's go. And Billy's like, come on, we got to save my boyfriend right now. Meanwhile, in the weird dimension, the mother has arrived and she's pissed. She is ready to, she comes up against both of them and is like, you know what? You haven't introduced me to your friend, but we have all the time in the world for that. And then the little tentacles from the panel start coming out. And just as this happens, you hear, hi, Mrs. Altman, and the crew has arrived. The rescue team has shown up there. America has kicked a hole into this dimension, and they are here to save the day. So, unfortunately, there are a lot of other friends that they have brought with them. And Loki's like, we fear they may be the bad influences we've heard so much about. This pisses the mother off even more. And now all the tentacles are coming after them, trying to entangle all of these people. And so Miss America tries to kick a hole out of the other dimension. And there's a pretty big fight where everybody's like trying to get at this mother, but the mother has got all these tentacles up and is ensnaring everyone. And they managed to make it through the portal into Earth. And as they all kind of stand up after falling through this portal, Patriot is there, or the weird Patriot. And he says, tick tock, and then disappears.
Just before they go through, the last person through is Kate, and the mother parasite asks her when her birthday is and says, a very special girl all grown up, my side soon.
Yeah. That will come into play in a little bit. So Patriot disappears, and of course America's like, when I catch up with him, I'm going to kick his head into the fucking next dimension. And David's like, hang on, wait a minute. This guy's been making us chase him around. If he really wanted to hurt us or kill us, he could have easily done that by leading us to a dimension that's like full of poison gas or lava or a vacuum or whatever. But he hasn't been doing that. Why? And so everybody's kind of takes a minute and they're like, oh, you know what? He's right. We got to think about this. We got to figure out what the hell is going on. And so they are back now at they're not at the diner for a change. They're at a like a Chinese restaurant or like noodle shop. And so they're discussing, what could possibly be going on with this. And Billy asks Loki what the hell is going on with the demiurge stuff, because that didn't escape him and he's been thinking about it. And Loki just casually informs him that he is a singular, multidimensional messiah who will rewrite the rules of magic, and all the implications of that decision are going to echo forward and backward across all realities. No big deal.
Cool.
And Billy is floored by this, and Loki's like, well, yeah, why do you think that the mother is so interested in you? It's not because of your adorable floppy fringe. So America's like, well, you could be the most important person in reality, but so could lots of people. What's the big deal? After the noodles, they go on, and Billy and Teddy are outside in the rain, and they're kind of discussing a little bit of what they had talked about at the table, about how Loki's supposed to be teaching Billy how to use this magic so that they can confront the mother and destroy her, send her back, and stop chasing Patriot around, because that's not getting them anywhere. And so Billy is like, you know what, I'm actually optimistic about this. I think that we can do this. I can handle this. And Teddy is like, well, that means that you won't need me then. And then it all comes out. He confesses to Billy that he needs some space, basically. That they're not quite broken up, but like he needs to get away from him and for a little bit. And Billy kind of understands. He asks Teddy to spend the night, and Teddy says no, and says, but he might change his mind. And then Billy's like, well, or maybe I'll change your mind.
Oh no.
But not in a malicious way.
Okay.
But just like maybe, like because that's what Teddy has been thinking, right? Like he's like, oh, or who knows, maybe I'll be the one that changes your mind. And like he gets it. He understands. And Teddy, in the meantime, we cut over to Austin, Texas, and Teddy has actually been seeing a therapist, which is great, and I think that everybody should do it.
Yes.
So Teddy is talking to a therapist about this breakup, and he's like, I haven't left him. I just need to be away from him for a little while. It's the only way to really know. And it's hard to find like essentially therapists for superheroes, because that's tough. And the therapist is like, hey, look, you're just concerned, thankfully they won't hold any grudges or anything like that. Like you're not, you're lucky, there's so much this lifestyle can damage. And when we pull up to actually see who the therapist is, it is Leia, but a grown up Leia, or at least growner. She's still kind of young-ish, but old, like an adult, like young adult. I would place her maybe 25.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, it'll all turn out for the best. We all get to write our own happy ending. And so that's where that's where that issue ends. Is that this therapist that he's been seeing, he obviously does not realize this is Loki's ex-girlfriend counterpart person. So that's bad.
So yeah, he it has a lot to do with Journey into Mystery, which was a spin-out kind of Fear itself, but it was another Kieran Gillen series. So Leia's is entirely a Kieran Gillen creation. It has a lot to do with weird Asgardian stuff and history, but Loki basically wrote her into existence.
Yeah.
And then abandoned her.
It's very complicated. Yeah, like literally, like I hate doing this, but like see the entire comic run of Kieran Gillen's Journey into Mystery for more. Like
yeah. Yeah. Specifically the Fear itself part.
Yes. So we start issue 10 in the Mother's universe, and there is a dialogue box that is telling us about what the Mother kind of does. She basically she sets out lures, illusion lures to get people to come to her, and so that she can consume them. About 3/4 of the way through this, the Mother notices the dialogue box, grabs it off of the corner of the top left hand as it's saying, no, please, for God's sake, please don't do this. Don't let it end like this, etc. And she takes the dialogue box and eats it.
Oh God.
So
at this point, Loki has broken the fourth wall, and now the Mother is eating the fourth wall.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah. As she finishes up eating the dialogue box, she turns around and scolds what is essentially a construct of Kid Loki standing in like a protective circle. And Loki is like, hey, look, I'm not stepping out of this circle. Please don't hold an unfair grudge against me. I delivered everything I promised, and I did it to the letter. And we have a brief flashback here where Kid Loki is kind of hunched over a sleeping Billy, essentially whispering some suggestions into his ear about how maybe what you can do to get things right with Teddy is maybe you could find his mother, and that'll help him so much. You could easily do it. You're so powerful. If you do this, he'll love you for it. And Billy sleepily is like, oh yeah, you're right. You're so right. And goes back to sleep. So Loki has been behind this the whole time. Loki reminds the mother that he followed the spell to the letter, and it's not his fault that somebody interfered with it, which is pretty hilarious because the person who interfered with it was Loki.
Loki.
Exactly. It was a magical deal. He followed it to the letter. He didn't say that nobody was going to interfere with it. He certainly didn't say that he wasn't going to interfere with it. And so, they're having a bit of a disagreement over the deal that they've made. And as they're talking, she transforms into a number of different women. And it's kind of difficult to tell whether they are. So one of them is not Lao Fei. God, I can't remember his mother's name, but it's the mother of Loki, the frost giant that is his mother. She looks like him. She looks like probably like, I'm guessing these are all Loki variants, or Loki mother variants, really, because they look different in every panel. So Loki suggests a game of questions, a game of 3 questions, no lies, no logical impossibilities. Play the game as straight as you're able. And so so the mother asks, what do you want with Billy? What is the big deal with Billy? And Loki lets her know that, he's the demiurge. He controls the past and the future of magic. To control him is to define everything. He's far too important to be left in the care of anybody other than Loki. So he asks her, did you influence the dimension that I dropped into when I escaped? And she said no, but how is stealing Billy's power going? And he is like, well, it's just a certain place and a certain time that I'm looking for. I can't steal all of his power. It's not enough to just steal it, but I want everything, and I want to be able to rewrite this myself. But even if I couldn't get that accomplished, even just taking his power would be enough. Like, I'd be happy with that. I would cash out and be done. And he asks her, did the Patriot choose the dimension we ended up in? And she says, no, he didn't. And then she asks him, what is it that you feel guilty about? And Loki replies, everything. And in this particular panel, you see both him and the alternate, one in green and one in blue. And that's very telling. So he asks, okay, well, who's the Patriot? And Mother replies, I haven't a clue. And she crows about how she thinks she won. And he's like, no, you could have, I could tell you everything. It wouldn't make a difference. You can't come back to Earth unless we go back to New York or cross paths with any of our parents. So you're kind of stuck here. You're not really a threat anymore. No big deal. Even if I told you everything, it wouldn't make a difference. And I asked the answers, or I asked the questions that interested me. I've played you. I didn't really care about your answers. No big deal. Billy is with me. Billy trusts me. Good luck out there, and dibs. And the mother, he disappears. The mother is still there, and the mother's like, well, at least he's interested in you. And she is talking to Patriot again. And Patriot tells her that, she asks him, what's on your mind? And he just replies, denial. And she's like, well, you don't tell me anything ever. You're being frustrating, and you have no protection. So I'm going to eat. And he reaches out towards her, and she goes to touch him, and then is like, wait a minute, no, this is some kind of trap. And Patriot replies, no one escapes, and then just sort of turns into mist and disappears. As he does this, The mother's like, oh my God, will I ever get any peace? And Leia appears. And she has come to the mother to talk about Loki. And she's like, he's a creature of lies. I will make him understand the truth. And the mother is very into this. She's like, oh great, sounds good. How can I help? So we flash back to Teddy now, and Teddy is in the process of attempting to write an email to Billy, except he can't quite get any words out. Adult Leia is there, and is like, hey, are you done? Maybe, oh, it seems like you can't get this out. Like maybe it's okay. Don't even bother writing him. Like it might be too much. It's for the best. Just come take a walk with me. And so she leads him to this group therapy session, or what he thinks is a group therapy session. And it's down in the basement of this building. And when he gets in, it is filled with some very unusual characters. There is the aforementioned Oubliette the Exterminatrix, Patriot, a character known as Ultimate Nullifier, and a couple other folks. So immediately he hulks out for all intents and purposes and is like, Patriot, where's Tommy? What have you done with him? And Patriot just replies, denial. And Leia tries to get the group therapy session back on track. So she's like, all right, let's all talk about our bad relationships in the past.
Oh no.
And so this is Teddy. He's got a problem with Wiccan. He might be under mind control, or he could even be a creature that the Wiccan has essentially wished into being solely for his pleasure. Probably not on purpose, but that doesn't make it any less terrifying, right, everyone?
What kind of coffee do you think is served at this meeting? And yikes.
Not enough in the world. So there are 3 of Novar's exes in here who are here to complain about him. And again, one of them being Oubliette, who will come into play a little bit later. The Ultimate Nullifier is a character that I've not encountered before or since. I don't know, Josh, have you ever seen this character before?
No.
Okay.
But this kind of stinks of Space Marvel, which I generally do not go to that often.
Yeah. It is important.
I do find it interesting that this Oubliette lady keeps showing up in things that we do for this show.
I know, it's weird for being like an F-list character. She's shown up twice so far.
Yeah.
But the Ultimate Nullifier is kind of dressed in a vaguely Captain America-y sort of, not even uniform, but clothing. Like he's got a baby blue shirt with the star on it. Like he's got white blonde hair that's kind of spiky. He may very well be part of Space Marvel, but he looks kind of like Captain America. I don't really know what his deal is.
I'm guessing he's from a multiverse thing, where the Ultimate Nullifier, which is a machine,
is a person instead.
Is a person, yeah. Although he does bring up the negative relationship zone, which I think is fantastic.
Yes. So his beef is actually with Miss America, who was on his team before for a couple of years, and then kissed him after the last mission, and then never followed up on that. So he's pissed that he has been left in the negative relationship zone.
Oh, I totally cheated and looked him up. He was in Teen Brigade.
Oh, okay.
616.
I'm not familiar with him at all. I'm more familiar with like the Ultimate Nullifier being a machine.
Same.
And so Leia's like, hey, look, we've all been wronged by everybody on this team. There's so much to avenge. How do you feel about being a young Avenger? And he's like, you guys are fucking nuts. You're all a bunch of weird stalkers. Nobody's done anything wrong. Like Novar, yes, he's a horny himbo from outer space, but it's not a crime. And he's like, and he says as something that actually I think is really important, hurt feelings isn't a reason to hurt people. And there's a moment, there's like a pause, and then Leia's like, you know what, I'm really disappointed, after all of the sessions we've had together, you're still under Billy's spell. and he's like, good, I'm leaving, and attempts to leave, and he walks out the door and walks right back into the room, and Leia informs him that he's walked into a magic circle, and yeah, he can still leave, but he's just gonna keep coming back. And the liar is the teammate that made this all necessary, and then she kind of turns, and then you see that Mother is in the room, and now Teddy is being covered in this putty stuff, and everybody's going after him.
Because Teddy went into the circle in Austin, came out in New York.
Yeah.
So now there is somebody in New York.
And
now,
Mother can come back.
Yep. So that is how that issue ends. So we start issue 11 at the Citadel Rising of Lord Elrich the Pretheist, which is, he's just some kind of weird looking crypt keeper guy. Most of the team is there kicking ass. And they leave, and Loki's like, hey, wait a minute. And, they're just kind of chit-chatting amongst themselves about like, hey, let's get a burger or whatever. And Loki's like, yeah, wait. And then his finger starts bleeding. And he says it's because one of his alarms are going. So he reaches for his phone and calls Teddy and leaves him a voicemail, basically. It's like, I hope you haven't done something stupid like going to New York. And instead of, hanging up, he hears on the other line, it's Leia. And Leia's like, oh, Teddy's here with us. He just doesn't want to talk right now, and then hangs up on him.
Ooh.
So, yeah, that's bad. Or no, I'm sorry, she doesn't hang up on him. He realizes very quickly, that Teddy is in, or that Leia's in the home dimension of the Mother. He's like, I'm impressed with how good with the good cell reception you're getting there. What carrier are you on? And Leia lets him know that the Mother's pissed, and all of the weird Mayfly dimensions that they've been traveling through before and fighting through in the last arc, those she will unleash them on the Earth, and the adults will not notice that all of the kids now are evil, and they'll decide that all the kids have always been evil. And that's going to be that, like, that's Mother's plan. She's got a bunch of these evil dimensions ready to go, and she's going to unleash them on Earth. And Leia's letting it happen because she's pissed at Loki at the beginning of time. So Loki's like, hey guys, we got to get back on the ship. I got something to talk to you guys about. The Mother has Hulkling, and she's got access to this dimension now, and she will come for us and kill us and ruin reality forever. And so Billy is like, well, let me just go
Plan B myself.
Yeah. Goes and is like, it's like, hey, you know what? If I kill myself, it'll solve everything. It'll cancel the spell, and whatnot. And Loki is like, hey, look, I'm sorry, I lied. I was manipulating you into loaning your power. It's not going to solve anything. If there was a solution that easy, I would take it. And Billy, bless him, just punches him right across the face.
Good.
Which is great. And there's a moment, Kate goes to comfort him, and of course America's pissed. Everybody's got their backs turned on him. And Loki's like, hey, look, I think we got to advance the backup plan. And Kate's like, what the fuck are you talking about? So backup plan for Loki is to essentially accelerate his growth. So the Loki that we have now, which is Kid Loki, needs to grow up and become like a teen, essentially. So he's kind of, Josh, would you say that he is kind of pre-adult agent of Asgard? Like,
yeah, so the idea behind this is that Kid Loki in his form cannot hold all of Billy's power. Which he's had it before, but he really couldn't access as much. And in order to unravel this spell, because Loki has the knowledge of how to unravel the spell, but not the power, they're going to need to accelerate his age so that he is at a point where he can hold Billy's power. So he'd have to be about the same age.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because I feel like in Agent of Asgard, he was slightly older, but not much older, like early 20s.
Yeah.
So they basically they perform, or they allow Loki to perform this spell, and Billy helps to accelerate his growth, to grow him up. And when we next see Loki, he is now a teen like the rest of
Yay! More fucked up choices.
Yay! Kids are growing up too fast these days. So now that he's grown, however, there's a problem. Loki doesn't seem to have his power. And America Chavez tests this theory by punching him.
Yes.
Yep.
All the punches. Give him all the punches.
And and Loki's like, "Hey, look, I'm not lying to you. I don't have my power." Which then causes Billy to be like, "Fine, I'll go save Teddy myself." And Loki's trying to talk him out of it. He's like, "I got two better plans." And Billy is like, "Absolutely not. I don't trust you. Let me just do this myself." And Loki's like, "Well, that's good, because the second plan involves you growing up fast." And Novar, meanwhile, is sitting in his underwear on the spaceship doing what looks like, I feel like he was, well, you'll see.
Oh no.
So Kate is
Bitch is texting his exes.
Yes.
Yeah, sounds about.
He's like, Kate comes in and is like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I was just checking the news." And she's like, "Okay, well, get ready to suit up. It's gonna be hero o'clock soon." And sure enough, he pulls the panel back up, and there's a bunch of messages from his exes on what looks to be like the sort of semi Facebook or Instagram thing, like, "Just saw your your pictures, your beard looks so hot, and somebody else is like, "Oh, you're back on Earth, you want to hook up?" Like,
It is heavily implied that Oubliette sent him nudes.
yeah. Yeah, there's because she says, "Check out the album I just let you access. At least one of us is still looking good."
Woof.
Yeah.
Power move.
And he's like, "Oh gosh, what should I do?" And then America's like, "Hey, we're leaving in 10 minutes. Get ready." And so, in a moment of brilliant existential teenage crisis, Novar decides that the only recourse to this is to shave off his sadness beard, or whatever the fuck that was. So he shaves it off. Everybody's like, "Oh, you look much better." So so Loki explains to them that most of Billy's power is wrapped up in this spell that's gotten fucked up. That's now in the hands of Mother, because she has. So in order to fix this, Billy has to become more powerful so that he can free him and free everybody else. So he needs to become the Demiurge. And what this basically, the Demiurge is basically like a magic messiah. And Loki's like, well, he can at least, he doesn't have to choose to be it, but he maybe get close to doing it while we rescue Teddy. And, at best, it'll tear the entire spell apart and it'll end it forever. But if he goes full Demiurge, basically he will fuck up or rework the clockwork of the universe, or explode it. So anything could happen. He could choose to do anything, because he will have so much reality bending power that it's really hard to tell if anybody will survive. And of course, naturally, they're all concerned about like whether or not he's ready to do something like this. But David points out that because Kate's like, "Hey, she's got an army of basically the bad us, like the like negative us. So how are we going to get through?" And David's like, "Hey, look, I texted a bunch of our old friends, and because adults can't see this problem, I texted a bunch of teen superheroes and asked them for help. Because we didn't, initially we didn't ask them for help because we were afraid that it was going to make things much worse. But this is kind of the end game here, and we need help, basically. The grown-ups will not do anything for us. It has to be the kids." Kate then brings up that it's nearly her birthday. She's almost 21. She's run half a dozen pregnancy tests to make sure that she's not a parent, so that she can't just be controlled. But if she's concerned that if she's too old, she's going to essentially be infected. Novar then points out that he's 21 and he's fine. So you're as old as, and Loki's like, "Hey, look, you trust me. You're as old as you feel. I know." America Chavez instructs everybody to save their midlife crises for the after party, and they take off. Meanwhile, in the Mother Dimension, the Mother has turned Teddy into a weird tentacle-looking chair. He is very clearly not having a good time. In fact, his face is one of the only recognizable body parts he has left, next to exactly one hand, and he is clearly screaming in horror. The Mother is waiting for everybody to show up, and that is where we end issue 11. She has turned Teddy into a weird tentacle chair and is like, all right, let's go do this. Meanwhile, Central Park, New York is where we start off our next issue, and there is a big square with it's basically a doorway to another dimension that looks like it's like one of those like the comic book dots. What am I'm totally dysnomic and I'm forgetting what they're called.
Oh God, it's a style.
Yes, and I can't think of what it is. I can't think of pop art. Yeah.
Pop art. Yeah.
And the parents and the negative ones are here. The negative superheroes are here. And so they've just stepped out of this dimension into Central Park. And they've come to they've come to warn everybody. Captain America is even under their sway. And
which I'm not sure how.
Okay, he's still an adult.
Yeah.
He's not a parent.
But not a parent.
Remember, the parents are not. So the parents are. If you're a parent, you're completely mind controlled. If you're just an adult, like you have like a basically a blindness to this. So like I feel like what this is trying to express is that even though they're trying to explain the situation to Captain America, he like legitimately can't see or understand what it is.
Oh, okay.
Because he's just too old. And he's like, okay, kids, like, this, it seems like you just have some conflict with your parents. Maybe just try talking to them over a nice hearty glass of milk, like, and so Billy's like, you know what, never mind. We're sorry for wasting your time. Whatever. Good luck out there. Bye. And so, Kate's like, look, I don't know why you thought this would work, Billy. And he's like, well, I had to try. So all of these teen superheroes have now assembled in Central Park. There are what appears to be several X-Men. I can pick out Dazzler, Mystique ?
Nocturne.
Oh, okay.
Nightcrawler's daughter.
Oh, okay. See, a lot of these are newer, and I don't really know who they are.
Oh, there's.
Although one that I'll say for sure that I love that she's in this is Lucy in the Sky.
Oh, nice.
She was part of the Runaways.
Okay. So that's they're getting ready. Meanwhile, in Mother's Dimension, Patriot warns Leia that they are coming. And she's like, yeah, you've been saying that all the time. You are a weird dude. What is your deal? And Patriot just gives her some more non-answers in the form of, tick tock, I'm what you can't outrun. And she gets frustrated. Novar's exes, including specifically Oubliette, are like, hey, we're gonna kill that dude when he shows up here. And she's like, yeah, me first. And so we cut over to Novar, who is looking at pictures of her on his phone while Kate is talking to him, like, hey, you ready to go? And he's like, I basically, he tells her I was born ready, but really, no, literally, I emerged from my genetic womb prepared for conflict. I'm a little nervous, but otherwise fine. Meanwhile, Billy, there's a wonderful line here. So Billy is getting ready to do his magic, and Loki says to him, you must be our wannabe Buddha wrapped up tight in spandex. You must be Odin on the World Tree. You must be Scott Pilgrim at the end of the film. And as somebody who absolutely loves Scott Pilgrim, that just tickled me to no end.
But Billy says the book was better, and this isn't it always? For more on this, see the graphically novel episode on Scott Pilgrim.
You know what? It's funny. Like when you guys did that, I thought about asking to be the guest, and I was like, first of all, I can't manipulate every single episode and just appear for every single one of them. And second, you would not get me to shut up about Scott Pilgrim. So.
Yeah, we had Jen's daughter Ash on that one, and she is like a mega fan. So that was a fun episode to do.
That's excellent. one of these days I'll talk to her about it. We'll just
Yes.
geek out with one another, and that will be great. So they're getting ready to prepare for this spell, and David's like, hey, look, isn't there anything else that we can do? I there's got to be some other thing we can. And Loki's like, all we can do is just kind of look after he's the only one that can do this. He can hold off the mother or break the spell, and if we'll rescue Teddy, and we'll hook up with everybody else and defeat all the multiple dimension people. Billy, of course, is like, well, sure, what could possibly go wrong? And Loki's like, well, if it works too well and you lose control, like, everybody will die. And America Chavez is like, hey, just don't fuck it up, kid.
With tears in her eyes, she says, don't fuck it up.
With tears in her eyes. Because she's a tough bitch, but she's got feelings.
Proud of you, champ. Proud of you.
But as they go off, he and America are talking about, she's like, we got to stop lying about if he kills himself, this will go away, because that's not true. And Loki's like, no, this, he can't die. This story has a happier ending. And America basically threatens him and has been like, it fucking better. In the mother dimension, the portal has finally been breached, and so the description that's given for the location is the worst of all possible worlds invasion of Earth. Prognosis: a knockoff Converse sneaker stomping on the human face forever.
Oh.
And so there's a lot of chaotic fight scenes. So it's the thin spandex line, which is our last best hope for not being all doomed and stuff.
Very big Scott Pilgrim vibes.
Yes.
Yep.
Meanwhile, so the rest of the team prepares to step through the star-shaped portal, and at that moment, Leia looks up and looks directly at the viewer, at the reader, and says, "And then the Young Avengers attacked," which is exactly what happens. They go after their negative selves. Mother then immediately tries to go after Billy, because Billy is now growing in power, and she wants that. It's tasty. Kate and David decide to go after Teddy, so they're going to try to rescue him. They're also fighting the X's and whatnot. So we have the Evil X Brigade. Again, very Scott Pilgrim. Kate's like, you couldn't have kept it in your pants for 5 seconds, Novar. Like, what? And the ultimate nullifier is like, hey, you kissed me, you just left. Time to kiss your powers goodbye. Blah blah blah. And America is like, I'm not on your team, dumbass. Because she's not. I mean, it's like, look, I'm a lesbian, bud. Like, no point being mad at me about it. So
you don't own me. Don't put your
exactly.
Read the ethical slut. You don't own her.
Like, and furthermore, like, she kissed a boy one time and was like, you know what? Being
Not
straight isn't for me.
Thanks, no thanks. I'll have the other menu. Bye.
Exactly.
Sometimes some genders taste like right, and some genders taste like Malort.
Oh, but oh God, Malort. I'm a terrible bartender. I do not like Fernet. I am firmly ensconced in Team Malort. Love it. It tastes like grapefruit and rage.
Oh man.
Tastes like bad decisions and Nazi tears.
Yeah, it's not good.
Nazi tears are delicious. Make Nazis cry. Drink Malort.
Okay, all right. You know what?
I did at one point say out loud that it tasted like racism feels. And the entire table of people that I was with pointed out the mixed couple right behind us that I did not see, were not part of our conversation.
Oh no.
So yeah.
Oh no.
Oh no.
It's okay. I'm Puerto Rican.
Yeah. I'm sort of Rican.
Lord.
So
evil X's.
The evil X's are attacking. The mother is going straight for Billy. It's a bad time for everybody. David correctly infers with all of his galactic knowledge that the Billy is in, quote, deep crap. And as this fighting is going on, Leia approaches Loki and is like, "Hey, remember that thing you told Teddy about how, just a little bit of a whim is all that it takes for reality warper's powers to go astray, and without even realizing it, one can summon their darkest desires." And he realizes that his power is with Leia. She has, and his conscience reminds him that he really is his own worst enemy, and a guilty conscience is a terrible thing. And so she is closing in on him, and that is where we end at issue 13. Or I'm sorry, where we end issue 12, begin issue 13. Meanwhile, back in Central Park, all of the Mayfly dimension creatures that we encountered a while back are now attacking New York. So weird robot spider head things that look like green demons, a bunch of other assorted nonsense, and the teens are trying to hold them back, but they're like, hey, one of them is like, hey, we should try to get the Avengers on the line, and one of the other teens is like, hey, look, we can't. They can't see it. They do not realize it is happening. Like, all this fighting is invisible to them, basically. We gotta hold the line while the Young Avengers finish this up. And in the Mother Dimension, Loki and Leia are going at it. Oubliette and Novar are going at it. Except
fighting to be specific, because
not going at it. But speaking of going at it, Oubliette, as they're fighting, is like, hey, if we make it out of here, don't you want when we head back? It's the best time of our lives. You know it, I know it. And Novar turned Kate, who's like, hey, Kate, we need to talk. And she's like actively shooting things. There's a fight going on. And he's like, hey, I like you a lot, but I gotta go. That my ex is the girl of my dreams.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. Mid-fight breakup. And Kate, of course, is like, I would have respected you if you said you were doing it for an extra pair of hands. The ultimate nullifier, meanwhile, is taking shots at Miss America. And this is important because he points out that he says, you're too good at dodging me, girl. You can do this all day, which, of course, Miss America. So he hits her with the nullifying ray. And
he goes to shoot Loki, and she jumps.
He goes to shoot Loki and hits her with the nullifying ray. She kind of steps in between them, which takes her powers away. But it does not prevent her from kicking him directly in the balls. And she's like, yep, turns out my strength is gone for now because Earth doesn't suddenly have two tiny hairy moons.
Ooh.
So Loki, meanwhile, is trying to talk to America, and America's like, look, if we don't save each other, we can't do anything. So Loki takes a deep breath and screams, listen, and tells everybody that basically, I'll just read directly what he says because it'll make a lot more sense. The Loki whose body this was, he managed to change to be good, to be a better part. I killed him and took over. Basically, it's complicated. It involved a whole lot of manipulation in the same way I've been manipulating you in the start. I made a deal with Mother. I betrayed her. I kept you all dancing along as I improvised a tune. If Billy is going to rewrite the rules of magic, I wanted to control the dance steps. I didn't want to do it. I wanted to do it so desperately. This is all my fault. And David in the background is like, I knew he was guilty.
Thank you, David.
And Leia's like, good, the truth is out. Doesn't that feel better? And then just kind of disappears. And then around them, the other evil exes start disappearing as well. Novar goes to talk to Kate and is like, Kate, and she's like, just rescue Teddy. Just don't fucking talk to me. Good on her. And Loki's kind of curled up in the fetal position on the ground, and he's like, I'm not the murderer Loki, I'm the murder weapon Loki. I'm the copy the old Loki made to lie in wait for his innocent self. I'm not the murderer, I'm just identical to him. I had no choice. And in America now is looking down at him and is like, all right, and her fist is clenched, and Loki's like, just end it before I can talk my way out of it. And there's a pause, and she's like, no, I'm not going to make anything easier. Leaves him alone.
Ooh. I'm not mad. I'm just
exactly. Yeah, it's easy to go on and off the Loki team on a pretty regular basis. Like, he's trying his best, but his best isn't very good.
Or his worst did its best and rewrote the best, and now the worst is in control. So, how about some applesauce, everybody?
Yeah, pretty much. So the last thing that they have to deal with now is Patriot, who is standing over by the chair that has been made out of Teddy. And he all he says is, "What you can't outrun." And then Loki immediately is like, "Oh my god, Teddy is a chair." He unchairs him. And Teddy is returned back to his normal state. And of course, he's horrified. He's like, "Oh my god, oh my god, that was terrible. Oh my god, that was the worst." And Loki informs them that, you know, because they want to leave. Kate's like, "We got to get out of here," and Loki's like, "Hey, look, we can try, but it's not going to do any good." Because Billy is still fighting with the mother. He's trapped, and she's going to get everything she wants, and eat it, because he did not go full demiurge. And David suggests that Teddy go, and Teddy's like, "Hey, look, it's not going to make a difference. I can't give him anything, whatever." And David's like, "Look, here's the deal. Even if it is entirely could have, you know, created you whole cloth, and wished you into existence, basically. But who cares? Your love is as real as anything I've ever seen." And you know, he says something really beautiful where he's like, "Look, a magical power someone else has over you for no reason you can really justify, that cascades through you until every cell calls out for his touch. What do you think love?" And Teddy is like, "Well, hell, dude, why didn't you say that before?" And David just replies, "I wanted to know what that felt like." It's very, like, I feel for David. I really do.
I was David so many times.
I know. Me too, bud.
Oh.
What?
To which the not patriot thing pops up and is like,
Yeah.
"What you can't out?" And David's like,
Yeah.
"Shut the fuck up."
Done with you.
Yeah, like if you don't have anything useful to say, be quiet. And so he turns back to Teddy and is like, "Just go to him before it's too late." Teddy does. And Teddy meets back up with Billy. And Billy's like, you know, "Mother has essentially sent hallucinations and visions to me before, trying to get me to leave this protective circles. And she attempted you before, but she couldn't get the details right. How are you here?" And Teddy's like, "Hey, it was Loki. You know, he got it back when he confessed everything. He was manipulating all of us. But I don't care if he was lying. We're not." And he pulls Billy to his feet and gives him beautiful universe opening kiss. And behind him, beautiful, like, there's a star shape with like entire galaxies in it. It's difficult to describe, but it is worth looking at. It's one of the most beautiful panels. And you know, and Teddy's like, "Hey, that's, you know, she's the mother is not my mom. I know you wanted to help." And he's like, "Yeah, I realize that. I'm sorry. I gotta fix this." Loki is watching from below. It's like, ugh, is love really gonna save us all? And America, God bless her, is like, "Of course it is. Anyone who thinks otherwise gets stomped into paste." David says, "I'm happy for them. They make a lovely couple." And Patriot comes in with the to interrupt him with denial.
Oh, rude.
Very rude. And David's like, please be quiet. So Billy is now gone, essentially full demiurge. What happens next over the series of panels is just again, the art style here being very fourth wall breaking. It's Billy holding up, his hands are like galaxies, and he is holding up a series of panels where Mother is disappearing. All of these negative universe creatures are going away. All the negative superheroes are going away. And he is realizing the scope of true power. He is truly the demiurge, and he can do literally anything. He is past, present, future. He is now, you know, the future and the past. And at one point he says it's like cradling all reality in arms. He has all the power and the responsibility to use it, but the responsibility to know how to use the power. And in one of the panels, and this is very interesting, he says, "Oh, it's tempting, but do I really want kids?"
Oh, no.
But this is kind of an allusion to his mother, his own mother, right? Because that's how Wanda got him and his brother, is she just created them whole cloth. So, but he could do the same if he's just as powerful. He's like, "No, you know what? I don't know quite what I'm doing yet. I'm going to go back to my body." And he does. And and they are in the mother dimension now. And he's like, so did we win? Did we win? And Loki's like, check it out over there. And the rest of the team is still fighting all these like negative thems. And America's like, hey, listen up, the lady is gone, the spell is gone, you're all by yourselves, go home. Go, basically she's like, go home, or if you want to persist, we'll fucking kill you. Either way, get lost. And they all decide to leave, and she's like, good call. And they walk through one of the panels, now back in Central Park, and Billy's like, was that what I was supposed to do? And America's like, well, it was a good warm-up. Kate gives Novar back his bow, and is like, here, this is yours. Billy's parents are now back to me. They are also in the park, and they're like, son, what's going on? What have we been fighting about? And Billy's like, hey, these are my friends. Kate and Teddy, but this is America. Novar, he's an alien. David, and etc. And they go to introduce Loki, and Loki is gone. Loki is actually watching them from kind of hiding up atop a cloud, and even says out loud, so that's where that issue ends. So now, as issue 14 begins, we are in Kate's bedroom on New Year's Eve 2013. She's getting ready to go out. She looks absolutely stunning and walks out, not Novar, but America Chavez, who is not dressed up. And she takes her to a New Year's Eve party. And the New Year's Eve party is just a bunch of superheroes just having a good time in an unspecified location, probably an alternate dimension. There's just a full-on rager going on. So 11:45 p.m., Wiccan and Hulkling are hanging out having a fruit juice beverage, which they go to great lengths to state is not spiked with alcohol, but people are acting like they're drunk. He steps, Billy steps away to get another drink and runs into David, who wants to talk to him. And David is like, hey, I'm really sorry that I kissed your boyfriend. It was kind of scummy of me. I just hope that you. And Billy's like, well, it's because you jump into bed with him. If I was off the scene, he's like, oh, absolutely. David then is like, hey, look, I think I saw something off. I gotta go back to the party, go have fun. And Billy has a moment of doubt, after he's left. He's looking at Teddy from across the way, and he's like, well, maybe David would be better for him. Really selfish and whatever. And America Chavez interrupts him and is like, hey, look, you're never gonna be anybody but yourself. We save the world every single day we choose to, and we crap all over it every day we don't. You're Billy fucking Kaplan. Own it. And dips. Teddy then goes back to Billy, and they're kind of chit-chatting about how, it's kind of the start of a serious discussion, like, like, hey, look, I wish you'd told me about what you were scared of earlier, blah, blah, blah. And Teddy's like, hey, look, they're playing our song. Let's go. And leads him out to the dance floor. And there's a very sweet moment where he tells Teddy, I could never dream you up. I could never have imagined loving anyone like I love you. It's impossible. And it's very cute. And I just love this comic. It's just getting a little verklempt. Miss America, meanwhile, we cut back to her. Some kind of sand creature has asked her to dance.
Rock Slide. He's a mutant.
Okay.
He's fantastic.
He asked her to dance, and she's like, get fucked.
No.
Yeah. So it turns out that when America Chavez was growing up, she idolized Billy Kaplan. Billy Kaplan was a superhero in her universe. He was the demiurge, and that was who she wanted to be when she grew up. Created the universe that she lived in, called the Utopian Parallel. Everything there is perfect all the time, and she looked up to him, and she flew off basically as a kid to find him, and that's what. And now she knows Billy, and she works with Billy. And she wanted to be, it says, I wanted to be like her moms and Billy and everyone else who inspired her. She was a fangirl of Billy Kaplan. And she's met him, the man who meant everything to her, the one who's responsible for her even existing. And he's an idiot like the rest of us.
Never meet your idols, people.
Yup. So we meet back up with Kate now. It's 3 minutes to midnight, and Novar is there. Is like, hey, Happy New Year. And of course, like this himbo, like he's not even wearing a shirt. He's just standing there with his loose long pants, looking hot like a jerk. And so he tries to chat Kate up, and he's like, oh, how was your birthday? How's things going for you? And she's like, no, you've lost your small talk privileges. And she really does give him a, not upset, just disappointed. And she calls him Marvel Boy.
And he tries to correct her.
And she's like, no, definitely Marvel Boy. She lets him know, like, that you had the girl of your dreams, and you were so, in your own head about it that you lost her and didn't notice. And as she's done giving this final speech, instead of triumphantly walking away, she is abruptly grabbed by a very loud and very excited Tommy, who's like, hey, Kate Bishop, let's dance. Wow.
You got to move on, girl. We got to go. Come on,
right.
Keep up.
And she's like, wait, what are you doing? How are you here? And he replies, sorry, I can't hear you over my awesome dancing. And so she makes a decision, like, you know what? I'm not gonna trouble myself with this. I'm just gonna go with it. And so they end up dancing and kissing at midnight. And it's very sweet. And that's where that issue ends. So this is the very last issue 15, the wrap up.
Before we start it, though, it is important to point out that there is an after party playlist that Kieran Gillen has put together and posted on a page for you to know what songs are playing at this party. And it is everything from Amy Winehouse to Stevie Wonder to ABBA to the Four Tops, Daft Punk, Churches, Lit, Kim Wilde, LCD Sound System. Like, it is all over the place.
So I have the omnibus for Young Avengers, and he actually put it in the back of the book.
Oh, okay.
It's on Spotify.
Yeah, which is great. It's great. And I actually I was following him on Tumblr actually while this was being written, and he would post periodically character profiles and the songs that go with them, which I love.
Oh my god.
So yeah, it was totally cool. But yeah, so this is the after party. Novar is there. He is DJing.
He is not DJing.
Oh no, I'm sorry. He's not DJing. He is like attempting to assist the DJ, but the DJ
Brew is DJing, and I love him.
So he's in his own head about shit, and he's like, just been trying to do my best, and I've just been like out there conquering stuff and doing high action shit, and but Kate was really great, but Oubliette was the last time my life made sense, and I wanted to get that back. But now I realize that was a mistake because, as he says, time travel is impossible because the time traveler has changed. That's basic multi-dimensional cadet theory. How laughable and pitiful. You have to move forward. There's no other choice. Know what I mean, Brew? And he turns to this little alien creature that's DJ, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I was continuing my work on an automatic DJ that reads pheromone data from the crowd and cross-references it to social music taste to prescribe the correct music. The DJ is rendered obsolete, and now you can just dance. Yeah, that's what you want to do, right? You prefer to dance, correct?
Just a real quick thing about Brew, because I fucking love him. Brew is a part of the Brood, which is like they dealt with it a little bit. Yeah, they are the worst. They are as if the xenomorphs from Aliens somehow possessed a hive mind. They are horrible, and they're X-Men villains. But Brew is broken out of the hive mind, so he has individuality, and so he could have gone anywhere or done anything in the universe, and he decided to join the X-Men Academy.
Yep.
That's pretty
I
dope.
love him. I love him.
That's pretty dope. So Novar is like, Brew, that girl over there looks like she wants to dance. Why don't you go dance with her? And he's like, but sir, I was trying to. And he's like, don't worry about it. I got this. And puts on Be My Baby by the Ronettes, specifically for Kate, for something that she enjoys because she doesn't. And meanwhile, we meet up with Loki and David, And Loki is paying the caterers with what looks to be a giant Asgardian chest full of like Asgardian treasure. So there's like two chef looking people just carrying this giant cask full of like goblets and coins and dishes and helm and horns and shit. But they have a little bit of a conversation about who's responsible for what happened and why. And Loki has not joined the party. He's outside financing it basically. And he basically expresses that, if he had stayed hanging out with everybody, they would have just forgiven him because they're good people. And so he doesn't want to give them the chance. He doesn't feel that.
I call shenanigans. He doesn't want to have to take responsibility for what he did and make amends. And, they'll forgive me. No, bitch, you got to do the work.
Exactly.
Brittany's got a song about it.
You want to get forgiven? You better work, bitch.
There we go. That's a good episode title.
Yeah.
But Loki sits down with David on the top of a hill and is like, "Hey, look, I'm in a different role now. I gotta play the part that I wrote myself into. I've killed innocent people. Armies have died for me. Whole worlds have burned. I've always blamed it on somebody else. I can't avoid who I am. I can't avoid being Loki. Even if I died, I'd still be brought back or come back. And if that happens, I might do something even worse. So I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing for as long as I'm able to do it. Because I'm just a story. I'm just, a story, whatever that means." And, David points out, like, he saved the world. And Loki's like, "From myself." And David replies that, saving the world from yourself is the first most necessary step. I learned that from watching you. And Loki's like, "Hey, look, it's a new year. There's a way that humans like to celebrate." And David is like, "Are you kidding?" And Loki's like, "Hey, look, my culture doesn't have the same attitudes towards sex or sexual identity that yours does. There are sexual acts. They are not sexual. There's no sexual identity. They're just sexual acts. I'm the patron god of several, actually." And David
Which
is
is
like,
true.
"Hey, yeah." And David is like, "Hey, look, you're not my type. Thanks, though." And Loki's like, "That's fine. I wasn't serious anyway. Like, what's your type anyhow?" And David, smartass, is like, "Good guys."
Oh, yeah.
Loki replies, "You always were smart," and then just kind of just disappears himself. And he disappears, but a moment later, Patriot appears next to David, and he starts talking to him, and he's like, I don't understand why I can't figure out Mr. Not P. And then he starts to kind of work it out a little bit as Patriot is sitting there, like all Japanese ghost girl, like,
Yeah.
pose. And the theory that he has is that part of whatever happens with Billy, so Billy rewriting the laws of magic in the universe as the demiurge, has something to do with this guy. And basically, this guy has come from the future to make sure that everything in the past goes the way that it should. And then he further works out that more than that, he's not just a raw creation, he must be one of them. He must be one of the and then comes to the conclusion that the one who stops being human for a good cause is most likely himself. So he surmises that he is talking to a future copy of himself or a variant of himself or what have you. And the thing looks at him and says, "You'll find out," and then disappears or starts to disappear. Starts to disappear. And David grabs him and says, "No, where's Tommy?" And he looks directly at David and says, "Denial." But there's nothing in his eyes this time. Tommy is not there. As we saw, Tommy is inside. He's at the party. David says, "I'm not scared of you anymore," and leans in and kisses him. And when he opens his eyes, Tommy is there. It's Tommy, who is immediately like, "Holy shit, get off of me, dude. We're not that kind of friend. Like, what the hell? Where did the warehouse go? Weren't we just in a warehouse?"
So keep in mind, Tommy was not here this part because it has timestamps. This is how Tommy got there. The warehouse that Tommy's talking about is when he disappeared all the way back when they were attacking Patriot the first time.
Oh, okay, yeah. That makes more sense. Yeah, the timestamps are kind of confusing. But then being Tommy is like, "Hey, were we in a warehouse? Like, what happened with that?" And then notices that they were at a party. He's like, "Cool, we're at a party, great," and leaves. It's like, "Yeah, party time." Like, bless him. Bless his entire heart. So they're all getting the party is now over. It's 2:05 a.m. on January 1st of 2014. And Billy's like, "Hey, how did you get Tommy back?" And David just casually is like, "I made out with a cosmic horror monster thing." And Teddy's like, "Oh, nice work, Buck." And so they're kind of recounting their all the kisses that they've had, and he's like, I think Loki might have made David's like, I think Loki might have made a pass at me. And America's like, ew, all this boy kissing. And Kate reminds her that she once made out with that ultimate nullifier dude, and she's like, oh, only once, didn't stick. It's a shame when you end up as a stereotype. Yeah, I went with a boy on my first team, but I was just experiment. And Novar is like, oh yeah, no, that's the experimenting is part of the Kree experience, basically. Like, I was aboard an exploratory vessel, and that does have multiple meanings. And Kate is like, wait a minute, am I the only person on this team who's straight? America, and this is one of my favorite panels, America turns to her and it's like, Princess, I've seen the way you look at me. You're not that straight.
Yes!
She's the best.
Team of chaotic queers running the universe.
Exactly.
We need more of that.
So it wraps up. They decide after leaving this party that they're going to go and get some breakfast. Loki is watching them from a distance, and actually takes a picture of them on his little cell phone. And the last thing we see before the series wraps up is a post to Loki's Instagram account of everybody taking like a group selfie together, and it's really, really cute. And that's how Young Avengers ends.
So, Joe, do you have any questions, or how did we do?
I love this. I really am having a struggle with everyone's love of Loki. Like, yeah, he's a great character and well written, but come on.
Villain's gonna villain.
Yeah.
It's very Sylar from Heroes, only.
Oh my God, yeah.
Without the writer's strike.
Without the writer's strike. So at least like it makes some sense, but still, you're garbage.
Also, Peter Petrelli was the worst villain in Heroes.
Yeah.
At no point did Sylar go back in time, bring his girlfriend there, and then erase that timeline.
Yeah! Whoop! And then, like, my dad took my powers, so now I don't have powers, but now I have my power, but I have the Nerf version, because the writers realized if I had my real power, I would ruin everything.
Yeah.
But that's
right.
That's a whole other kettle of fish. I really hope David gets somebody.
I know, me too. I don't know if he does. I don't know if that was ever followed up on.
It is. Sorry, I will count the amount of tabs I have open right now. 13 tabs.
Oh my God.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
David does end up in a good place. So
good.
I'm happy for David.
Yes. He deserves it.
I don't really care about Kid Loki. He can fuck all the way off. And I know I know about other things like Empire, so I know where sweet Billy and soon to be spoiler named Emperor someone end up. But I'm happy for them.
Yes.
What about Kate? Where does Kate go? What does Kate get to?
Kate does a lot of Hawkeye stuff.
Yeah. She gets her own series twice over, because I believe, who did the first one? Was that also Matt Fraction?
I think so.
And then somebody else took it over, and I'm blanking on who it was, but...
she shows up in the Matt Fraction Hawkeye in 2015, so
right.
Shortly after this Young Avengers run, she jumps over to what may be one of my favorite comic book storylines ever.
Yes. 100%.
Which is Matt Fraction's Hawkeye, which I cannot praise enough, and will be showing up on next season of Graphically Novel with our good friend Mike Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yay!
He's an excellent guest for that too. I mean, he's always an excellent guest, but like for that one specifically.
Yeah, no more questions other than that. Like, I'm glad Kate, leave the fuckboy who's part cockroach. literally and figuratively.
Yeah, like he is really he's like a himbo fuck boy. Like he's kind of both. But yeah. Young Avengers.
But yeah, Joe, it has been fantastic having you here with us. Thank you so much for coming on, and we will definitely see about getting you back on soon.
Yeah.
Start deciding what you don't want to read, what you want explained to you, and we'll have you back on to explain some stuff to you.
I'm really here just to toot and boot the looks of the Hellfire galas. I just want to make fun of fashion, because Leather Daddy Colossus.
Oh my god! Yeah, there's so much. There's so much.
It was Leather Daddy Colossus was as Serb. It was everything. I was very into it. Professor X looked like a Q-tip ping pong ball. No. Charles, be better.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with Charles in that entire run.
Because Charles.
Yeah. Although Gambit and Rogue in the Hellfire Gala, coming as the newly married couple.
Congratulations to them finally.
Yeah. Yeah. As I look over at my case that I have the Joseph Scott Campbell alternate cover of X-Men Gold where they get married, and it is fantastic. Also, Mr. and Mrs. is a phenomenal run of really fun comics of what they do after they're married.
I'd be into that.
Yeah. It includes Deadpool showing up at one point being like, but Rogue, you kissed me once. What about us? And she's like, dude, I was stealing your powers.
Oh, that's good stuff.
So, yeah, more than likely, since this is a 3.5 hour long recording, we are probably going to break this one up into 2.
Yeah, that would make any sense.
Yeah. So this will be the 2-part penultimate episode of season 2.
Yes.
Please be sure to tune in for our finale episode where we will be taking Miss Dawn Baldwin through Thor and Loki's Blood Brothers series.
Yeah.
So from one Loki to another.
Loki on Loki.
Well, Loki on Loki is mostly the series or the TV show.
I just really like that Wilson brothers mustache.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed with the Loki show that at no point did anybody ever tell him to go fuck himself.
Yeah,
because that's where it was heading.
It was implied. That's
right. But until then, take it away, Vandello.
Little wreck conversation, some deep reactions, please. All this comics narration ain't me. A little more talk, a lot less read. A little fight, baby, is what I need. Close the trade, open up your brains. Explain it to me. Explain it to me, baby. Explain it to me. Explain it to me, baby. Explain it to me. Vandello 2021.